This is former WWE Superstar Curt Hawkins, now known as the Prince of Queens, Brian Myers, and you're listening to the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show.
Produced by the Cleveland Sound Radio Network. Here is the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show, hosted by Glenn Moore and Steve Guy.
Good friend of the show, Michelle Beadle from ESPN. She, the center of a big controversy when it comes to Floyd Mayweather and Michelle Beadle. Basically, the story is that Michelle Beadle was denied credentials to the Mayweather fight. She works for ESPN, so you would think that she would like to get in and cover the match.
Along with Rachel Nichols, also notable.
Yeah, she was denied credentials, so I guess she was given credentials, and then so Michelle made a comment in an interview. I like the way you live your life. And this is before she knew about Floyd Mayweather and all his...
Yeah, this was, about like 3 years ago, I think. Yeah,
all his domestic violence issues that Mayweather has from the boxing ring. So she apologized, and she's said that she will not support Mayweather, but she still has to do a job. And she's been the center because now she will not support WWE. So we're going to get to that. On the show today is Mr. Brian Myers. You know him as Curt Hawkins. A good half an hour interview with him from AIW's event.
A great half an hour.
Yes, with Mr. Myers, and he makes the rounds here in Cleveland and also the East Coast from New York. He is the Prince of Queens, and he's on the show this week. Go back to listen to iTunes and Stitcher and CLE Sound for all our past interviews. And next week we will have Chris Sabin on the show as well. And last week we had a great interview with the Young Bucks also on the show. So look for that on iTunes, on CLESound.com. I'm Glenn Moore. This is episode number 28 of the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show. My co-host to my right, Mr. Steve Guy. All right, back to this Michelle Beadle thing. She said she's a big WWE fan. Hung out with her at WrestleMania. She gets all the front row seats. She does interviews. She really promotes wrestling on her show, Sports Nation. On
Well,
ESPN.
she broke the Brock Lesnar story.
Well,
didn't break, but I mean, she had the interview in which he announced,
she was there.
Yeah, I'm staying with WWE.
Yeah. Basically, WWE used ESPN as a platform.
Right.
WWE knew that Lesnar was staying.
Yeah.
They used it as their main platform to get more publicity for WrestleMania through ESPN. I get it. The E in ESPN is entertainment, so people want to say, why are they covering wrestling? It's entertainment. They like to, quote-unquote, whore out other products if it's going to benefit ESPN. Now, Michelle Beadle, I love her to death. She puts up a good point because Triple H is a huge fan of Floyd Mayweather. He tweeted out over and over saying his love for Floyd Mayweather. The thing is, though, WWE and their policies is that if someone on their roster is charged with domestic violence, they are immediately suspended. If they're convicted, they are terminated. They're done. They're done from WWE. Why would Triple H openly, he is the front man of this company, support someone like that? I mean, you have your friends, you have your likes, everybody's different. Do you think the front man of a big company like WWE should maybe bite his tongue and not tweet out something like that because of their policies? And they're all with the Susan J. Coleman. They do Make-A-Wish. Don't be a bully, be a star.
Be a star.
They do all that.
Yeah.
Do you think Triple H should maybe held back a little bit to avoid the backlash?
Should he have held back? Probably. And I meant to look this up beforehand, and I couldn't remember if Floyd Mayweather actually was convicted or if he got off of those charges. Multiple incidences. I mean, his kids called 911. He was beating his wife in front of his children, according to 911
But money
calls.
talks. If you have enough money,
well,
you
that's
can get
his name.
Anything. Yeah.
And on the other hand, there's the business side of it that I see Triple H promoting Floyd Mayweather, and it wasn't just Triple H, it was WWE as a whole, because if you paid attention leading up to that entire week, and including on the Friday night on the WWE Network, and they showcased the whole Big Show Floyd Mayweather situation.
He did serve 87 days in jail.
He did, that's right,
for
yes.
domestic abuse.
So we have a conviction.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you have the business standpoint where now we're pushing the WWE Network. You're getting people to watch that, and you're taking advantage of the fight that he's in because you had the Big Show Floyd Mayweather match.
Right.
So maybe they should have only gone from it. I mean, I don't know the correct answer to that. I think if Triple H would have backed off as a person and not had done it so much, maybe that would have looked better upon him. And then instead it would have just looked like, well, here's WWE capitalizing on a business situation that they had, and now they're capitalizing on the fact that this match is happening. And it's like, oh, hey, we had one of these guys at WWE at one point.
Yeah.
He is involved in a match. But then I guess still the correct answer is, should you really have promoted that because of the domestic violence issues?
Just the way a lot of people in sports have had successful careers with incidents in their life and off the field.
Sure.
And still have a strong fan base. I think the main point is, Triple H, the face of a company that really is pro against, violence against children, against women. They support cancer research. They do all those great things out of the ring and off to the side. And the Connor, that big, Mahalik, the big story of WrestleMania. The face of the company supporting over and over again a guy like Mayweather. It's up in the air because of the whole, if you're like the face of the company, you are the new CEO, COO, whatever Triple H's thing is now, his official title. But then Michelle Beadle responds, and I know it's hard for her because her and I text a lot during Raw. She's not going to be a fan of wrestling anymore. Do I believe it? I think she'll be back, but it's hard to read.
Well, I think there's probably the individuals she'd like to support, but she won't openly maybe support WWE. It would be like Roger Goodell finding out that Ray Rice has made it to the championship of the Canadian Football League, and then just sitting there tweeting out and be like, "Yeah, way to go, Ray! You did it! Cool, man! Awesome!" Probably not a good show right there.
That's a pretty good analogy. Like,
Thank you.
You're supporting. He's supporting a other person, but that person has had a beating beating a lady,
and but was a part of his business that he is the face of. That's so I would go along somewhere around those lines. You can't say no, we're against this on one hand, and then support an individual who is very much for it. And people like to use Ray Lewis as an example, and I guess I get the understanding, the mindset of folks who are like, well, Ray Lewis changed his life around after everything happened in Atlanta, the one Super Bowl weekend, and he's a completely different person. If you want to take that frame of mind, fine. Floyd Mayweather has shown nothing.
No remorse.
To make anyone think that he is a completely different person.
I think it's because it was Floyd's camp that denied the credential for Nichols and Beadle, how they have that control.
And they both, Rachel Nichols as well has been very outspoken towards Floyd Mayweather and all of this,
and then I guess Michelle Beadle was given a credential on Friday, but then it was too late because she had a book to get to Vegas, and it's for work. It's not like she was going for personal. So she wrote a long Twitter post saying that she's turning in her fan card. She's not going to support the WB. I'm sure she'll still watch it. She'll just be silent about it, and we probably won't see her at ringside. I wonder how this will affect WWE and their kind of promoting themselves on ESPN because they use Beadle.
This is huge because the other side of this now is that tonight, this being Tuesday, you have E60, and here you have the most vocal person at ESPN for your company now saying, I'm no longer a fan.
Yeah.
And now you're going to be on E60 tonight.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Very interesting. Like I said, I love Beadle. I was texting with her today about it and just going back and forth. Totally support where she's coming from because, I feel like if you have an opinion and you have that big platform like ESPN and you built your own following, over 1 million Twitter followers she has, I think you earn the right to voice your opinion. I think everybody has the right to voice your opinion. But the backlash, you read some of her mentions on Twitter, some people are just
people are always
her.
Going to be brutal towards females, which I think is an unfair thing.
Like, shut your mouth. You know what you're talking about. You're
Get back in the kitchen.
That's been the favorite tweet at her.
Sure.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're talking about. Listen, females are the ones getting beat usually in the domestic violence situation.
True.
I think they know what's up, especially in an era where we're doing the whole give divas a chance, and you're supposed to be sitting there promoting women, and instead you're backing a guy that hits them. I don't know. Of course, we are still talking about the same company that once put Mae Young through a table.
That's true.
As an old
it's
woman,
fake.
but she wanted that, so that's
it's
fine. To her credit, she told the Dudley Boys,
okay.
"I want this to happen."
So you're saying violence against women is okay
if they
want it?
ask for it? I don't. Hey,
Steve
listen.
Guy,
There's a whole movie about it. Okay, that just destroyed the box office called 50 Shades of Grey. Women keep reading that. I'm not making any fans here by saying this, but it's true.
The Steve Guy on Twitter.
Yeah, give me the backlash. It's fine. I get it. But there are women who don't ask for it.
Yeah.
In this situation, I'm pretty sure Floyd's wife wasn't asking for it.
Yeah. No. All right. If you let us know your opinion, go on Twitter. Glenmore CLE is my Twitter.
The Steve Guy is mine.
You guys can voice your opinion. Let us know what you think about this whole situation. If Michelle is maybe overreacting, if she'll be back, and should Triple H be toned down supporting someone that has been convicted of beating a woman when their company is all the good of out of the ring. All right, since we're 10 minutes in the show, we're going to go to an interview. But after the interview, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about Sami Zayn making his WWE debut and doing a.
You want to try that one again?
His WWE debut
on Raw,
and injuring himself trying to pump the crowd up.
That would be me.
Still working the match, and it doesn't look good. I think he's having an MRI on his shoulder being done today.
This is the shoulder he was already out for a substantial amount of time.
It didn't seem like he was going to be on the roster. Like, he's not called up officially because they still use NXT and branded him as NXT.
Yeah, it was just a great thing to do in Montreal,
his hometown,
which, of course, as we know, WWE has a interesting history with.
And Ambrose is now in the fatal four-way for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. You got Reigns, you got Orton, you have Rollins, the champion. Now Ambrose. We'll hit on that quickly. The New Day finally getting over. We talked about this on the show before, how we got sick of the New Day, but they are starting to come.
They suck.
Ever since my picture with the New Day, they have.
Yeah, it was all because of you.
It is, and give them a handshake. All right, we're gonna go to an interview with now Mr. Brian Myers. You know him as Curt Hawkins. A good half-an-hour conversation from AIW a couple weeks ago. At their event, go to AIWrestling.com for a good local indie scene here in Cleveland. And like always, all our interviews are sponsored by
Weber Grill. Download the free Weber Grill app where you will find mouth-watering recipes and guides on tips and techniques for using your grill. Information will be delivered to your device weekly and are guaranteed to keep the fire burning. Go to Weber.com for more information.
Sit back and enjoy this interview with Brian Myers, a.k.a. Curt Hawkins, here on the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show. All right, welcome back. This is Awesome Wrestling Show. I want to welcome our guest at this moment, a man that you know in WB as Curt Hawkins, Mr. Brian Myers here in Cleveland for AIW. You've been here last few months.
I want to say this is my fourth AIW show.
Yeah.
You making a staple every month coming out here.
I don't know. I love coming here. It's always a lot of fun. I actually met the promoters like when I was still in WWE, actually years ago.
Yeah.
I'm always a fan of the indies, so I'd creep to shows if I had a weekend off or something and go with my buddies or whatever, and it's kind of like a free ride and just check out a show. And I saw them at a Chikara show at the UCW Arena, I want to say, like a trios show. And we shot the shit. They gave me a bunch of DVDs and stuff and said, hey, if you ever, if it ever happens, you're always welcome. And, like, they kept to their word. And they were one of the first people to contact me when I got let go last year. So
I listened to a podcast after you were let go by WB, and it was like, yeah, I was fired. Like you weren't like down about it. You were more upbeat. It almost felt like listening to you, kind of like, I'm free.
I think there's two things to that. One, I was around long enough to see so many people get fired.
Yeah.
And I just think those with the mentality that woe is me and they sit home and mope about it, nothing's going to get accomplished doing that.
Right.
Two, I was sitting home doing nothing. I was miserable. And I don't care what anyone says. Getting a paycheck to not participate is it's not great.
Right.
I was borderline depressed. Just I wake up every day. I'm like, okay, I go to the gym. That's an hour and a half at tops. Okay.
Right.
Then what do? I mean, it's like I sit on the couch, me and my dog just staring at each other. So when I got that call, first of all, I got that call and I'm like, shit, they're gonna make me go to like NXT and train or something like that, which I didn't want to do. No offense. I've been wrestling 10 years. I don't think I need to go do forward rolls all day.
Exactly.
So I was like, oh fuck, here it comes. And he's like, oh, we're gonna let you go. And I was like, oh really? And I was like, all right. And I called a buddy and I was booked the next night and all weekend, and it hasn't stopped since. So.
Did you ever entertain the offer of TNA? Did you ever get an offer from them to go there at all?
I've had talks with them.
Yeah.
But
Nothing.
Nothing's ever been panned out, obviously.
But you're happy doing what you're doing now, then, right?
I've literally been able to wrestle every single weekend since I got let go, and I'm my own boss, and I'm the happiest I've ever been in wrestling. I've had my most fun year in wrestling for sure.
Yeah,
hands down.
It definitely shows the level of fun as you're getting jerked off on by Eddie Kingston. But one of the favorite matches that I've seen here at AIW involved yourself and Cliff Compton. The battle for the best SmackDown
Late
Tag
2000
Team Champion.
SmackDown Tag Team Champion.
And, which you are now, officially.
Well, yeah, officially I won that, so
and
I'm
is
pretty proud of
it
that.
fun to kind of like make fun of your WWE
You got
career?
it. This is entertainment, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, so how could we not? And I've been friends with Cliff for such a long time. We used to ride together, all this, and I was just thinking like, okay, I've wrestled this guy a million times, but now it's the first time where like people aren't going to tell us what to fucking do, and all, it's like, let's be creative, let's have fun, and like I concocted that, and I was like, sat him down, I said, listen, man, I have this idea, you just got to roll with it, and he was cool enough to let me do that. And
did you guys plan out that ending, or was that a spur of the moment?
Like
the Shawn
during the day, I concocted that. I said, you know what? If we're staying true to that era, there's no bigger moment to me. That was my favorite.
I'm sorry, I love you.
Yeah. And a really bad mouth job where I was like, I'm sorry, I love you. Just in case anyone didn't get it.
Gotta milk that.
I had to give it to him.
And Zack Ryder comes to mind, and a friend of mine. I hang out with Mr. WrestleMania with Miz and everybody, and I've been backstage at Raw, and seeing him, kind of like what you described, you're there, you have nothing going for you. You're just standing around waiting for him to do something. To him, I feel like just releasing him from prison. He was so over
I
on
tell
his
people
own.
about wrestling. It's like, if you're like me, which I'm a sicko, like I've been in love with this since I was 5 years old, and I've never stopped. And I almost love it to a fault. It's like, and most guys do, and Zach's one of them. So the highs are really high, and then the lows are really low. So when you're backstage, and like they barely even notice you, and then they need you to get your ass kicked by Sheamus and be embarrassed for 5 minutes. It's like, great, So it's hard to see the light through that tunnel sometimes. It really is, because the highs are so high and the lows can be so low where you feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But
being there as long as you were, is there a realism at some point where you're like, you know what, look, I'm okay if you don't want to make me champion, or you don't want me to have this huge push or this run, but I want to be able to be out there and competing on a regular basis? I
always told myself, no matter what was going on, to not be defeated, because I noticed a lot of guys easily get defeated, like, oh, I'm doing the job again tonight, and it's just like that mentality is going to get you nowhere.
Right.
So even if I was doing something that deep down and I hated and didn't want to be doing, I'd go out there and get my ass kicked by Great Khali the best way I could. You know what I mean? Because it's like, having the boo-boo face and moping around about it, it's going to get me nowhere. But if I take some really awesome bumps and make this guy look better than he really is, maybe something can come out of that. And that's the way I looked at everything. Even deep down, if I hated it, I just looked at every opportunity like that. Plus, I say this all the time to people, I'm in the Indies right now doing my own thing, and that's kind of it. Like, I can sign with other companies and stuff, but this is it. I could be at WWE and literally be forgotten about, and, let's use Zach as an example. Zach could walk past Vince in the hallway tomorrow, and he'd be like, God damn it, Zach, he's still here. We got to do something with this kid. And, like, stupid shit like that happens all the time,
Yeah.
so you never know. He's still technically, like, in the hunt for something like that to happen. So there's always, if you're a dreamer, I guess, it's possible is all I'm saying.
You had, WrestleMania moment. You were in the main event.
WrestleMania.
Yeah, you had a major part. And that was what your idea, you and
the whole
Zach?
Edge idea was something that Zach and I concocted, and then we brought it to creative, and they were like, "Yeah, it's cool, but how, why, this, that."
Yeah.
So then we put another obstacle in front of us. We came up with that, and somehow got Edge on board, and he didn't know us from the hole in the wall. So we basically owe everything to him, because he just said yes to it, and he really didn't have to.
How cool is that for Edge? A guy that didn't have to do that.
Not at all.
He was,
he's the man.
Big.
I truly idolize him. And as a dude and as a performer, everything,
Yeah.
So he's been a mentor and a really good friend, and we were so fortunate for that unreal learning experience that we got for almost a full year, where we legit shadowed him in every form. Like, we saw him like put main event matches together, like you know, with top guys, and we sat there and listened and learned. And we're out there front row, but the best seats in the house and shit like that, and insane, So
I don't know. I guess I want to know, what is to you? What was your biggest moment there? Besides, I mean, WrestleMania is kind of easy, but you weren't necessarily competing, so to speak, in the match.
Yeah.
For you, as like, this was your match. Was there one that stands out for you, and you're like, all right, this is kind of it. This is kind of where we are.
There's
this
a
is
ton of
awesome.
moments here and there. I think the thing that was most flattering was Eddie Kingston is a jobber. You know how to read? You can do this?
You can write?
You can just read and write?
It's working hard.
No. He's saying, yes, I wrestled on Superstars versus Trent a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Dick. What was I talking about? I think the thing that was most flattering is when I got picked to train with The Rock, because, like, that's like I don't know, like I got that stamp of approval from the office that, like, this guy's good enough to handle this. And, like, he's safe and a good worker, and I guess a good hand, which can be the kiss of death, too. But it's still, what we do is an art, and they thought that much of me that I got handpicked to do something like that. I always think that was pretty flattering.
Was that for training for Cena's match for him?
Yeah.
So you were John Cena.
Yeah, I would have to like pretend to be him and do all his, mannerisms.
Yeah, how'd that
and
feel?
Stuff.
Yeah.
That's fun. I mean, it's cool. The Rock was the coolest guy ever. Like, he was so fucking cool. It was me and Curtis Axel. So and we got to know him like pretty good. Like, got to the point where I was like texting with him and shit. So.
So you were kind of like a fanboy while training him.
Well, who wouldn't?
Yeah, who?
Fanboy
The
The
Rock,
Rock,
right,
Come on,
yeah.
Think of
fucking-
people's
he's
elbow
like
from,
he's not even the biggest wrestler. He's the biggest star in the world.
Yeah.
And it was nuts. And that was another crazy thing to see, like, how that guy lives his life and how fucking
You still talk to
super
him?
famous he is and stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him in a while.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, like, I don't know.
Did The Rock ever do
abuse
this?
the relationship.
The Rock can go over NDC
Yeah, I don't know. God,
Were you?
for fun.
he'd kill it. He'd give the Young Bucks a run at the merch table. I'll tell you that.
It might be a little bit longer line than
It'd be
Mickey
a
James.
merch
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Merch off.
Was that like you were sitting there and you're like, yeah, I mean, if you want, you could rock bottom me again. It's totally cool, man.
Yeah.
We could try that again if you
I
want.
mean, yeah. No, we were. That's all we did. We'd take rock bottoms on crash pads. And shit.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe I was getting paid for it.
We always ask this to a person that's been in WWE is your initial first meeting with Vince McMahon.
Oh, ours is
yeah.
unreal. The Major Brothers one is unreal.
Yeah.
Deep South closed, and we were all kind of just like, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
And we had kind of got the heads up that the few, like 5 of us who were ready to get called up soon-ish, not like you are getting called up, but the 5 closest. So it was like us, Jesse and Festus, Brad J, and like Angelina Love, and they're like, you guys are going to move to OVW. Everyone else is going to move to Florida and start FCW. But we still didn't know what was going on. Like, it closed that week, and we were all just like hanging out in the town that it was and doing nothing, like working out and just drinking, and like there was nothing to do.
Yeah.
So then we got a call from Mike Bucci Nova, and he said, hey, I think you guys are debuting on ECW this week. You got to be in Birmingham or something. So it was a drive or whatever. We go there. It was at the time Vince had just done the head shaving deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like it's really hard to explain if you weren't backstage, but like, so Gorilla is Gorilla, but then for this new ECW they set up like this big long tunnel, and then you come out of this other side, so it looks like, remember that entranceway was like a little one?
Yeah.
Side?
With kind of like the bricks
So
and
that was
everything.
still connected to the real Gorilla, but this big long like black tunnel.
Yeah.
And then you
Interesting.
go into that, and then you go out. So like we're nervous as fuck about to head out there for our first match ever live on ECW.
Yeah.
And like everyone's in Gorilla, but then we have to go through this tunnel. So we go through the tunnel, and now we're waiting, like really fucking nervous. It's about to come up. And Vince is a promo seg before we're going out because he's ECW champ.
Yeah.
So like he comes back.
Jurek Vince.
And we've never met him, we've never met him like really at this point. And we come back and we're like face with the Gorilla, and he's wearing that do-rag, and he's like, you guys want to borrow this thing? And then he struts off, and we're just like, we're so like wide-eyed and like shaking.
Yeah.
We're just like, normally I think anyone would laugh, but we were like, holy fuck, what the hell is our lives right now? Like, this is the weirdest shit. Yeah.
What was like your first like actual like maybe creative meeting with them? Like actually was like straight to business. Anything with them at all, like kind of like that, or was this
like we didn't
more...
have to at first because there was all edge stuff that they were taking care of, like
Yeah.
And then when we were starting to break off from him, I remember going to him with Jesse and Festus and Zach and saying, hey, like, we're kind of the only 2 teams. Can we like do something?
Yeah.
And like we pitched all this shit. And I remember we wanted to somebody was saying, "Oh, Vince loves first time ever" thing. So if you get him with that, like that would be the real hook. So like me and Festus are like pitching him, and then we decided we wanted to steal the hog pen match.
Oh,
do
yeah.
it a biscuits and gravy match because that was their theme
Yeah,
song.
yeah.
So then we'd get thrown into a big thing of biscuits and gravy, and that would be the finish. And we're like, it was the first time ever a biscuits and gravy match. I remember that we pitched that.
I love it.
And yeah, he didn't shit on it at all. He was like, okay, and he was like, I'll give it some thought, but never happened.
Nothing.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. So what?
I mean, I would love to. Yeah.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
What is next for Brian Myers? You're gonna stick around, hanging out on the indie circuit, which
For
is
sure.
awesome.
Yeah.
And he's just gonna.
I'm open to all options, and I've talked to a lot of people, and there's a lot of wrestling going on all over the place.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
People have
Oh, yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
popping up here and there. You know, there's a lot of promotions and things, and people getting TV now and stuff. So, I've been blessed to be literally active every single weekend since I've been let go. And as long as I'm doing that, and as long as I'm wrestling, I'll have a smile on my face. I don't really care.
We talked about it on the show as a topic, and there's a lot, NXT and a lot of guys being unused. Would like a fresh brand split with Raw and SmackDown separate help?
I don't know why they got rid of it in the first place, because it made, to me, I lived in both eras. I was a part of that
Right.
when it was like
Right.
a real deal, and it was like, I don't want to say Raw and SmackDown guys didn't like each other, but it felt like you were on like a
Two
sports
different
team
teams,
kind
yeah.
of thing, you know?
Right.
It's like the NL and the
And
AL.
just without it, it's just, man, everyone's spread so thin, you know, even like seeing how Daniel Bryan gets hurt all the time now. It's like,
Yeah.
I just feel like everyone's spread so thin, it's just bound to happen instead of where it was, you know? Not to mention, I used to love, some of my fondest memories are doing Saturday, Sunday SmackDown shows, and then we would be off. We wouldn't have to go to Raw Monday, and it would just be off in whatever town you were in, and just like go to the movies and go to the mall and
Yeah.
have dinner, and just like it was some of the best to go out, you know, shit like that. It was
Yeah.
some of the best, like dude bonding, like fun times like I can recall ever. And then we'd have SmackDown Tuesday, you know, and that doesn't happen anymore. And it's just kind of a
It's like it
thing.
saved you. I mean, sounds like it saved you physically, but
that
I
too,
mean
yeah.
mentally
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you got
It's a nice
this
little
refreshing
break.
moment.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
You know?
It was more, I think, SmackDown. You're taping in hour and a half. You're done. It's taped, not live. You're not
Yeah,
waiting
and
around.
it's just there's no excitement to that show. It just feels so like
Yeah.
you don't have to miss. If you miss SmackDown every week, you're not gonna miss a storyline development. You're not gonna miss like you'll miss a
That's
good.
what I tell him.
You'll
I'm
miss
like, I
a
don't
good
watch
match.
SmackDown.
I know.
Maybe you'll miss a good match here and there, but fuck.
That's
man.
what I say. There's some
Yeah,
good
no
matches on
importance
there,
to
but
it, and the
storylines
fans
or
know it.
something.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's because there's kind of almost like not almost, pretty much there is a lack of competitor in general for WWE? Like,
I don't know what
does
is
WWE
to
need to
blame.
compete with itself? I guess. Does it need
I
to
think
go back to that frame of mind?
For me, in like my era, that Edge era, when we
Yeah.
were doing that, I think for sure, like that was. I thought that helped a lot of people going. It kept the creative juices flowing on both sides because they wanted to be better than the other, and it was a smart move. I don't know why they got rid of it. I do know why, because I feel like they were running out of star power for each one, but.
But that's also, I guess, how you. I don't know. To me, I always thought that's how you create star power.
Totally,
Because
yeah.
that's the era where Edge became huge.
Yeah.
John Cena actually became huge
the
off
face
of that.
Raw, you know, everyone had their.
Yeah, I mean,
their
first he was
place.
over on SmackDown, and then becomes the face of Raw.
Yeah, even the
it's-
draft. The draft was like the most exciting.
The
Raw.
draft was great.
Yeah.
I love the draft.
Yeah,
They would that was like legit, and they would like totally fuck with all of us, and we'd be sitting there not knowing.
They wouldn't tell
shit.
you guys.
One day, I thought I was getting fired one year, and they were like, "Oh, you don't have to go to SmackDown tomorrow." I was like, and I fucking landed in LaGuardia, and they were like, "Oh, you got drafted to Raw." I'm like, "You couldn't fucking tell me this yesterday. I'm fucking couldn't even sleep last night." You know, like
That was legit, and you guys didn't
they
know.
never told you ever. Yeah, it was so. It was
Is that
crazy.
everybody, or is
Yeah, I think maybe like the top guys knew
Yeah.
what was going on, and I don't know. And they always say that the JR Cole one, that switch like was for shoot. That's why that reaction is like.
yeah?
JR didn't know, and they were fucking with him. I don't know. That's what I've always heard, but
Son of a bitch.
yeah, saucy.
I forget what I was going to ask off of that. That was hilarious. What are you still watching the product now? Do you care? Do you just
try.
not care at all anymore?
I have so many friends that I still like.
Yeah.
I know what's going on, and I'll be a little curious sometimes, but
Yeah.
I'm just not a fan of the product right now.
That's
Yeah.
bad.
like as a wrestling fan.
Isn't that kind of bad though?
like NXT
Yeah.
is the only is the only must-see wrestling show for me right now. Period. Everything else I'll watch, but I'll watch it at my own leisure. NXT I want to see like when it airs, you know.
Now, people ask us, and does Vince even watch NXT? I mean, I know he went to his first NXT at San Jose and WrestleMania weekend, but do you think he even has a clue what's going on?
I'm not sure. I've heard of what you guys are alluding to.
Yeah.
I really don't know if what's true or not, but
It's curious because
believe,
they are.
I could believe that he doesn't.
Because they are moving needles. I mean, those guys are putting on hell matches for a small crowd in a college atmosphere.
It's just like the Indies. It's more intimate and it feels more special that way sometimes, you know. And it's just like, I don't know, you feel like a part of something instead of you go to this big arena, it's a special feeling.
You have a video, Making Towns. You put together. Is that weekly?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And I know you put videos together or what artwork, cartoonish kind of stuff. Did you get in trouble for doing something like that before? Like
Make Card Mafia?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got in deep shit about it. Yeah.
But you like doing that kind of stuff, though, right? Yeah.
Well, that was more like
Not getting in trouble.
Tyler Rex.
Yeah.
Just because he was like into like that kind of shit, and he taught himself how to animate like in a week.
Yeah.
And he's like, let's do something with this. And then he made this really shitty cartoon. And I was like, well, that really sucked. Let me write it, and you can animate it. So like the two that were like risque, I wrote.
Yeah.
And then we got in deep shit about it. And we had to shut it down.
Who'd you hear from that? Was it Top or was it writers?
A little bit of everybody. John Laurinaitis said, "Why would you bite the hand that feeds?" That was the line I'll never forget. And we were getting yelled at.
So you instantly had to take it down.
Yeah, we there was one TV where it was like, it's done, get rid of it, or you're in deep shit.
You didn't think to tell him because it was people power, and that's what the people wanted.
I don't know.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
With social media and making videos like that, do you think the curtain has been raised a little bit with the fine line between kayfabe and with wrestling, or do you think that's just the way it is now?
I just think wrestling's in a different place. Like people know more people instead of they're not curious about the realness of it anymore. They just know it's entertainment and they can just enjoy it. Like you don't go to a fucking movie and then be like, "Oh, this is bullshit. Tom Cruise isn't a secret agent." You don't act like that. It's just sit there and enjoy it. That's how wrestling is now. And I'd like to think a lot of people are starting to be that way, but you never know. I do the one thing that bothers me is like, or not bother me, but it is strange. Is like if someone thinks I suck, they can literally tweet me like 5 times a day and bust my balls, and I'll see. Obviously you see it. Even if you're fucking with John Cena, I'm sure he sees it, no matter how many followers he has.
Yeah.
Whereas like if I was a kid and I wanted to tell Dino Bravo he sucks balls, how was I going to do that? You know, there's no way. We're too
Bravo.
we're too obtainable. I feel like that makes us all a little less special. I think.
What a great person to pick.
I don't know. I was thinking of some random.
that was
guy.
awesome.
Yeah.
Totally obscure. It was great.
You ever look at your Twitter feed and if you get you suck and that bother you? Or you're
No,
like,
I've never blocked anyone ever.
Have you ever gone back?
You think I
and
fucking
forth?
suck? Whatever. I don't care. I think you suck. So what? That doesn't. This is not every person's gonna enjoy me. I wrestle to the best of my abilities and what I think is entertaining, what I would enjoy to see, and that's what I do. So.
Have you ever gone back and forth with somebody on Twitter?
No, because it's a lose-lose.
Not even for your own entertainment.
Nah, because it's like.
Yeah.
You ever sent a DM to somebody that was just crude?
No, because then I'd have to follow them. So it's like.
No, if they're following you, you can send a DM to them.
Oh, and that's just like.
This sounds complicated.
Yeah, that's just like picking a fight. I don't need to do it. Yeah.
So, you obviously have a very creative side with the cartoon, with coming up with stuff with Zach previously. Would you ever consider going back and doing something in that role? Or was it always you have to be wrestling? But would you ever step behind the curtain and become a creative role?
I think my place in that realm is like a coach or something or a trainer. Yeah. I don't think it's like being on creative and stuff.
You're not a Hollywood writer.
No, fuck no. No.
A soap opera guy.
But you could help create a match.
I think so because I'm at my school now and I'm training guys on the reg. Yeah. So, and I think that's more my place behind the scenes. When the in-ring stuff winds down, I think that's where it's got to go.
Yeah. So
I'd probably like to be a commentator too, or put my hand in that and say, I know it's tough. It's very tough.
Yeah, you're entertaining. I gotta say, I'm sitting here. I would
very like I wrestle for a company PWS in New Jersey. They run pretty big shows, and they're having like a hard time finding someone to do commentaries. Like Matt Striker can't do every fucking. Every show's commentary. He's great, but like it's just a very thankless and hard.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. You're not calling. It's not like baseball is a real thing. There's a lot more to it than people think.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't go to WWE to be a commentator because you can't call moves.
Man, I couldn't imagine.
Oh,
yeah.
He got him.
Not even that. It's just them talking to you in your ear. I don't know how you can listen and talk and head explode.
It's sad the way that King, great heel commentator, and now he's just the app.
He's a shell of himself.
Yeah, but it's easy money.
I've been watching old Raws on the network, and I'm like, he's great. He's just like he's non-existent now. He's like, yeah.
Him and Cole, and even him and JR. Obviously, the commentary makes the the matches even better. And you watch now, there's some great matches going on, and they're talking about the app or whatever they're showing that day. I don't get it, and it's frustrating sometimes.
It's an audience of one. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
because it's what one guy wants to hear. So,
do you think that we'll ever go back to the era of, that attitude, but break out of the PG mold?
I always thought that like whoever the competitor is should be that, because then you're offering something different.
Yeah.
You know? Don't try to be WWE, because WWE is what it is, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So you need to offer an alternative, you know?
Yeah. So
that's why I'm still ECW is always my absolute favorite thing of all time. And just for me, I think a lot of it had to do with how old I was at the time, you know? It's like WWE was getting a little cheesy, and then I'm starting to like girls and, this and that, and then ECW comes, you know what I mean? It was all for me, like, I was changing as that was caught my eye, because it made sense.
Yeah.
And I think there's really, like, I think a lot of times now it's like, okay, when I was a kid, I liked Power Rangers, right?
Yeah.
That lasted a year. I grew out of it, and I was done. And I think that's what happens at wrestling now. People don't grow up with it. It's a phase, and then, they move on, because once they realize, John Cena, hustle, loyalty, respect, and then once you get older, and like I'm saying, you start thinking about chicks and drinking and shit, where that's not John Cena, so you kind of grow out of it. And that's not really anyone that they have to offer you, really,
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's gone on those days.
It's not a teenage product, really.
Although you do notice the recycling, right? I mean, hustle, loyalty, respect, we talk about it all the time. It's like, wow, that sounds a whole lot like the 3 I's, but just not all the same letter. Instead.
Yeah, I mean, that's wrestling, period.
You're right, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How many, I know I heard in another podcast that you collect like wrestling figures.
Mm-hmm.
How many do you have?
I had to like downscale because I was like paying for a storage unit. That was like so fucking stupid. Yeah, so I had to get rid of that. At one point it was ridiculous. I've cut it down to like a more adult collection, I'd like to say, where I have every Hasbro loose mint.
Jeez.
I have every ECW figure from the original ECW line loose. I have every ECW from that line mint on card and autographed by the guys, except Mike Awesome, which I need. If anyone out there has Mike Awesome, hit me up on Twitter. I will pay you kindly for it. And I collect the current Mattel classics.
What's one that, if you had to get rid of all but one, which one would that be?
This is really odd. My 3 favorite figures are Chris Candido, Steve Carino, and the Jerry Lynn ECW guys, because they're their only figures ever of any kind. And all 3 of those are 3 of my favorite ECW guys ever. And I just think that's cool that like they got an ECW figure, they never got a figure in any other company or anything, even though they had great careers. And those are my favorite, even though they're not worth a whole lot. They're sentimental, I guess.
Yeah.
So from child to adult, you're a wrestling nerd through
and through. Yeah. That's why. And then I met Zach just by like. We joined the wrestling school we came from within the same month.
Yeah.
And we're just like, this is bizarre. We're like less than a month different in age, and like grew up 20 minutes from each other, and just like we were nerds through and through, like exactly alike. So it's so strange.
Did you not have Royal Rumble for Super Nintendo?
See, here's my one thing. Like 0% video game guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The last video game I played was like Aladdin in like 1992 on Sega Genesis. Yeah. That game's pretty fun though.
So you definitely never got to that point where all of a sudden you're allowed to start, like, you could create you as a character.
Dude, I was in the game, and I'm like, I couldn't even walk. I was so far gone. Like, video games had just passed me by so bad that I was like, I couldn't even like walk around. I just gave it to my buddy. I was like, all right, I'm out of here. Yeah. Yeah. So.
All right, Brian. Really appreciate you coming on.
No sweat, man.
Look forward to having you on maybe down the road when you come back here to Cleveland.
Yeah,
always
look forward to
watching you.
It's one of my favorite places to wrestle.
Oh, what's with the cane? Where did that start?
Oh man. I like spent a whole weekend watching like loose cannon Brian Pillman stuff and like losing my mind.
That's what it reminded me of.
And obviously it's his ECW debut. Yeah. The lights are off, and then he has this fucking awesome cane. And I'm like, I need a fucking cane. And I just thought, like, in WWE, it's weird. It's like, if you're not like an ethnicity, it's like, what's your gimmick sometimes? You know,
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm just a white dude, McGee. So like, what?
What do you mean, like the really hard push for Samoans?
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how they sometimes see people like that. I'm like, okay, I'm just this white dude. What am I? I need something to separate myself. I was like, Hacksaw Jim Duggan can have a 2x4 for 35 fucking years for no fucking reason. I can have a cane. So I started to use it, and I just like, I don't know, I love it. I'm determined to get it over. I take it everywhere I go. It's such a fucking rib of myself for like traveling with it and stuff, but I'm like hell bent about it. So, and now I really can't picture myself wrestling without it. Like I I'd feel naked walking through the curtain without it, to be honest with you.
Maybe you need to like.
And I got it on TV, and I got an action figure with it that justifies it in so many ways. So,
So there you
people
go.
like Zack Ryder, Bust My Balls can fuck off about it. Yeah.
I don't want to ask any more questions. I feel like that's a great way to. That's just a great way to end that.
All right, Brian. Hopefully your Mets can keep on winning, man. Thanks to AIW for letting us come out and conduct these podcasts, these interviews with some of WWE's talent, former talent, and also some great indie wrestlers like the Young Bucks, who you can find on iTunes, our interview with them from last week. And like always, all our interviews are sponsored by...
Of course, sponsored by Weber. Join the Weber Nation community where you can share stories, recipes, photos, and participate in blogs. Go to Weber.com, the heart of Weber and the hub of Weber love.
You know, I was at Target the other day, and I was looking for some grill utensils and some grilling needs. And I was in the grill section at Target, and what do you know? They have a whole section devoted to Weber Grill.
Well, of course they do.
Utensils. They had grilling mitts. They had everything you need.
Because it's the best.
And I snatched myself up some Weber Grill utensils.
It's the best. It's the best. It's absolutely. I have a Weber Grill little home deal. Yeah, works great for me, my little tiny apartment. So I'm a big fan of it.
The thing with Weber Grill is that they last a long time.
They do, actually.
And we've used Weber Grill as a kid. I remember this, and that grill lasted us a good 10, 15 years through my childhood. You maintain it, keep it clean, and it lasts you. It's very durable. We travel with it to our campsite, and it's a very durable grill. So
you ready for this Weber Grill segue?
Yeah.
Because on Weber Grills, you usually cook steak.
Yeah.
Steak, of course, comes from beef or cattle. Cattle sometimes coming from a bull,
right.
Brahma bull. Today, May 5th, happy birthday to The Rock.
He's not today.
Yeah. It's all over Instagram.
Dude, I think The Rock's birthday was like 3 days ago, buddy.
I don't know. Everybody was talking about it on Instagram today.
How old is your Instagram feed?
Yeah, it could be.
The Rock was born on May 2nd, buddy.
Son of a bitch. Well, not today. This week. Look, it's on my Instagram today. 11 hours ago.
So
everybody said happy birthday to The Rock.
So that segue was...
that segue we'll have to delete.
Yeah. No, we're not deleting it. Keeping that bad boy. That's like my...
You know what?
It's like my...
The Rock. Here's what happened with this guy, man of the people, is reposting his happy birthday things 3 days later. That's not my fault.
I knew it wasn't today because on my
because you're a freaking mark.
My time hop, like 3 days ago, I saw a picture I posted with him for his birthday, and I'm like, today's not single.
You were that guy who posted a picture
with him, yeah.
Which, by the way, quick rant. These jackasses who are on The Rock's Instagram. When you see this picture, you see his tattoo.
Yeah.
Clearly appears to be on the right side as opposed to his left, where it should be. So someone took a picture while he was standing in front of a mirror. That's all it is. Everybody on this Instagram feed is freaking out. It's on the wrong side. It's on the wrong side. It's a picture, guys. He's standing in front of a freaking mirror. Go do it yourself and see what happens.
What would they grind?
They would be so they would be so confused on their own if they took. I mean,
don't be a mark.
I'm just saying.
All those marks out there. Mark, if you're listening, we appreciate you guys listening. Marks.
Glenn really appreciates you guys.
Oh, the marks out there. All right. Thanks to Weber Grill for sponsoring our interviews here. A great segue. I'm being honest about this. People say, "Oh,
would have been a sweet segue had I."
If he didn't screw it up.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah. Okay. Back to Raw, really quick. Thanks to Brian Myers for coming on for a good half an hour interview. Great interview with him.
Oh, I had a blast just chatting with him. We could have talked to him even longer.
Yeah, he'll be back here in Cleveland, so maybe you'll have a little more sit-down.
We did talk to him longer after the interview. But
warning. He has some foul language. So
you're warning people after the interview.
Yeah, just saying I did. I warned you. Didn't say when, but I warned you. For all you people listening at work or in your car with your kids, I don't know why you listen to the show.
That's like once you crash your car and then the airbag goes off after everything's done.
It went off. Not when. Sami Zayn made his debut. There was whispers on Twitter. NXT wrestlers were tweeting to watch Raw. Bret Hart came out to a lackluster pop in Montreal. It wasn't as big as I thought. If you watched like back when Shawn Michaels teased Bret Hart to come out in Montreal, this is before Hart and McMahon patched things up.
And
Right.
That explosiveness for when Heart's music played was nowhere compared to last night, where I think it was lackluster. I think we're starting to get old. I think we're starting to get in a generation of these fans that they don't know past wrestlers.
Yeah, it'd probably be like when we were growing up, Bruno San Martino comes out.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're like, I think this guy, we like him.
Yeah.
All right. You know? Like when Bob Backlund came back.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
what? Okay.
But
Crazy. He's
thing is-
crazy. I get that.
But it's his hometown. I figured the pop would be bigger. Then Sami Zayn was introduced. Well, Heath Slater came out.
Yes.
I'm tired of out of nowhere. Then he got popped out of nowhere. And Sami Zayn came out. He's pumping up his arms, appears to separate his shoulder while he's putting his arms up. You can see
It's that whole range of motion.
He's working it. He's trying to either pop it back in or stretch it out.
Can we watch the playback? Was Kelly Olynyk there at all?
Someone should Photoshop that. But then he works the match. You can tell he's not doing well. Still works the match. The referee threw the X's up, which means
Yeah, very early.
yeah, he's hurt, legit hurt. Still works the match. He loses to Cena. Cena gives him the respect, and then Zayn had the MRI on his shoulder done. So who knows? And like you said, that was the one that had injury before. So we got to see how he's going to transpire. But I don't think he's going to be on the main roster just yet. I think it was for the hometown feel, get the pop. Cena's open challenge. I don't think we will see Sami Zayn on the main roster anytime soon.
Yeah.
Obviously, with his injury, you're not going to see it.
Which did make me think and realize like why this Cena Open Challenge is a good thing too. Because you're going to, I think hopefully you do start to see more NXT guys come up slowly. They're not everybody's going to be Adrian Neville ready. Boom, let's put him on the main roster.
Yeah.
But this will be a cool chance to mesh the two and see guys every once in a while that are making some noise down at NXT and could come up and they compete for the US Open title. It's a funner, cooler way than just bringing in jobbers.
I agree.
Like when we used to grow up watching it, and you'd have a guy doing an open challenge for a title, he'd beat somebody down. And that was that.
Yeah.
But this is much better.
No, I agree. I like it. And it gives
Quality
a chance.
match too, even though John Cena was involved.
It gives guys that are waiting for their chance to kind of show what they can prove, and who better than to go in the ring with John Cena?
Well, actually, two better than Canyon, but that's
Who better? Who better than Canyon? Speaking of WCW, we're going to be calling Scott Steiner again here.
we will be, yeah.
At the end of the show. So I like that. I think it was a decent Raw. You have Ambrose now and the 4-way. We'll talk about this more next week when we have more time. But Ambrose, Rollins, who's the champion with Reigns and Orton, that should be a good match for Payback. And then you have the Kane against Rollins. That whole storyline. But there's one storyline that I love, and that they're starting to get over. The New Day.
The New Day.
Day
Sucks.
They are the tag team champions, the Freebird rule.
They sucks.
What do we do? What do we do?
They sucks. We won. What do we do?
Yeah, they're the tag team champions, and they are getting over. They are getting more heat, more reaction week by week, and it just took some time. It just took some time to stick with it, and the WWE could have pulled the plug instantly.
Easily. Yeah.
And they didn't. They stuck with it, and now they're paying off because another tag team, legit tag team. You have the Freebird. You have all three able to compete for the title, for the tag team titles, and they're getting a reaction. I'm glad they stuck it out, and it's paying off right now because I think WWE, they needed another tag team to kind of add depth with Goldust and Stardust now out.
Yeah, it was one of those accidental heel things that happens, but sometimes that's the best. That's just the way. Like, this is not a great example, but it's a good example of when you bring in a young Rocky Maivia.
Yeah.
So positive and full of energy, and everybody just turns on him, and there they are. Which, oddly enough, everybody really wanted to see a new Nation of Domination.
Yeah.
Which technically, I guess you have them, but they're not so militant. they're just still overly positive. But in a similar manner, they're like, all right, this is what we've been dealt. Let's go with it. They think they suck, and we'll just keep giving them a heat, and they'll just keep trying to win people over, but not care.
And they get a big win over Orton and Reigns,
which was huge. Yeah. It's huge to be able to do that to them and not just put them down and be like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna have them lose to these guys, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was usually they do they pit two guys who are going to be against each other as a tag team against a tag team,
and they find a way to win.
Yeah, but they can work together, But they did the opposite, which was great, and they give New Day some props, and they had a great match, and I think they've been doing very well. So
kudos to New Day.
And we haven't seen Tyson Kidd and Cesaro go away yet either, which
Right.
is I like that.
The Ascension made a return too.
Yeah.
The Ascension.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were gonna be back repackaged as something else, like Beaver Cleavage or something like that, or some random
non-existent.
tag team. Yeah,
That would have been a good tag team to be too.
yeah. Who's Beaver? Who's Cleavage? Who's the Cleavage? But other than that, a decent Raw, and we'll talk more about Payback going into the pay-per-view next week. Next week, Chris Sabin, TNA legend, will be joining the show as well. So we'll be talking more Raw and more of the big news. No Daniel Bryan, even though I heard a commercial for WB here in Cleveland that they advertised Daniel Bryan. So that's in June, halfway through June. So who knows? Maybe Bryan would be ready by then.
He's got a new 5-hour energy commercial
Oh,
out.
he did?
Yeah.
Hopefully it works on the neck or shoulder or whatever is wrong with them. But no Daniel Bryan. Lana could be a new.
How about Lana doing the Fandango dance?
I think
Fandango.
I think they're going to tease. I read this somewhere that Lana.
Oh, she's a tease, all right.
Oh yeah, they're going to make her.
You talk about Michelle Beadle being in hot water. Any water Lana gets in turns hot.
Lana. They're going to say that her Russian accent was fake, and that she's really American, and that's going to be her big face turn, and like she's going to be the face of the WWE on the women's side, not as a wrestler diva, but as this kind of like a sunny
female manager.
Yeah.
Sure. No female. I don't want to say escort because now in today's day and age, that's
bad.
It's a negative connotation.
Yeah.
But that's what they used to be called.
What do you think about Tamina Snuka coming back? Huh?
The muscle.
Yeah.
I liked when she was AJ's muscle.
Yeah.
I thought that was fun.
She's just gonna be. She was waiting for a year to get back on TV, and now she's gonna be Naomi's.
Yeah. Because we're kind of
muscle.
cousins now.
Yeah. And she's a Snuka, so she has a job for life. Anything else Raw wise? I mean, that's
no. I mean, the
it.
Fatal 4-Way will be interesting to see. We saw more Bray Wyatt, Ryback. Is anybody going to care about that?
No.
Yeah. Ziggler, Neville, Barrett, and Sheamus was. I don't know what you do with those things. Yeah, I don't know where you go.
But some new matches. Other than that, I think it was decent Raw.
Yeah, the matches were good. I just storyline-wise, I don't know where you go with those things. But the main ones that they're focusing on, this will be interesting.
We didn't talk about this last week, really quick before we got Scott Steiner on the line. Hopefully he answers. He's going to answer one week. People have been telling me.
He might.
Like, what are you going to say when he answers a week? We don't know.
We're going to wait for him to answer.
We're
going to pretend like we're losing reception and be like, Scott, are you there? Holla! Holla if you hear me!
Mother. All right. We went to AIW. Not this past Friday, but the Friday before.
We did.
For Make Them Say, big event. A lot of people were there. But one person that was not there, that we didn't see or didn't casually run into, was your girl.
She was not there. No.
Who's that girl?
She was not there. I got asked while we were there who she was.
And I've gotten asked. Other people said, "Who is that girl? Who is she? Was she there?" And she was not there. She didn't come up to you, but she has to be a Steve Guy fan.
Maybe she was hidden in the crowd.
I was
somewhere.
hoping,
big crowd.
I was hoping she would find out that you're doing stand-up, and she would make it. What if you were doing stand-up and you're up there and you would have
and I just looked down in the front row and I'm like,
row.
The girl's there. I'd say thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
She's waiting for you out in the parking lot.
She wasn't there. It's too bad. Listen. You have to come to the next AIW show, and we'll see if she's there. I'll point her out. I'll gladly point her out to not in an obvious manner, but I'll tell people who she is if we're there.
Oh, I will. I'm going to introduce you.
I hope that she was just trying to get close to me as a means to get close to you.
No, I don't think so.
That'd be great.
Moving on. Let's call Scott Steiner, and that's our Who's That Girl? Who's that girl? segment of the show. All right, Scott Steiner. We don't know what we're going to say. This is for real, folks. Every week, we do call Scott Steiner.
We were given his phone number.
Maybe.
We were told to drunk dial him. Didn't work. He's going to change his number at some point. Scott, this is Rick. Scott.
This is Eric Bischoff.
Hi, Scott. This is Judy Bagwell. I used to tune with your brother, Rick.
Dusty Road. I'm calling for you, Scott.
You got excited.
I thought I heard
you
a
got
click.
excited. Do we usually get sent a voicemail?
Yeah.
But we've never left him a voicemail.
No.
Yeah.
We got to keep it surprise because he's going to see, why is this
Scott, what you doing, brother? Hey, brother.
This is my new cell phone, brother.
It's Terry. Just want to leave you my new number, brother. So you got that. Just checking. And give me a call back, brother. Maybe we can work all this stuff out, brother.
Okay. So, yeah, hopefully he answers one week. We've been calling him on Tuesday about 7 p.m. every Tuesday for the last few weeks. Maybe he'll answer 1 week. And that would be the day.
If he answers, I'll be like, this is Xavier Woods from New Day? Okay, bye.
Okay. All right. Any final thoughts, Mr. Steve Guy? Any shows this weekend to plug or anything?
No, nothing to plug this week.
How the shows this weekend? How'd it go?
They went well. A little slow second show Saturday night. So for some reason, Comics and I sat around between the shows knowing that was going to be slow and decided to come up with ridiculous jokes. I did 8 minutes of material on the winning Kentucky Derby horses junk. That's a true story.
Okay.
For instance, I mean, this is an explicit one. That's fine. Did you know that the next Avengers movie coming out, it's Captain America and Pharaoh's dick?
Oh.
Little things like that. Yes, photo finish. You won by just a tip of his nose, you sick freak. Things like that.
Well,
yeah, it was glorious. But other than that, the show went.
Good, yeah.
It was good. A lot of back and forth with the crowd. Sold some books. Yeah, like 6-7 books this weekend.
Right.
Yeah, some Memoirs of the Wingman action. It was good.
I was waiting for my ticket, man. I would have came down.
I mean, I would have got you in for free.
Yeah,
you want to come down? Don't worry about it. See, listen, if anybody ever wants to see me at the Funny Stopper show, you tweet at me. I do have a free show coming up at the end of May.
Okay.
May 27th, out in Menor, if we have any East Side friends.
Where's where
it's called Toth's Place.
Toth's?
TOTH''S Place, off of Heisley Road out in Menor. So, yeah, folks want to swing by there. It'll be a good time.
There you go. Some
Check that out. Yeah, May 27th. It's a Wednesday. I'll take some books.
Johnny Gargano might
sign
want us a book.
Johnny Gargano and I have reached a deal. We've reached an accord. Book for shirt.
All right, and hopefully AIW, which is coming up in a few weeks.
I'm gonna pretend I'm a wrestler and start selling them at No, I'm not.
No. We should get some merch and sell it at the show. I'm sure they would let us.
Yeah.
Get some T-shirts going.
Got to work on that.
Yeah, we do. All right. We will talk to you guys next week. Chris Sabin will be on the show next week. TNA legend, now making the indie rounds. Has some great matches here in AIW. Also, thanks to Brian Myers for joining us. You know him as Curt Hawkins in the WWE. We talk about everything from his days in WWE to his thoughts on the current product to also saying fuck you to Zack Ryder, which is part of the interview.
He doesn't say it meanly.
No, he said it.
Yeah.
I actually tweeted that.
Yeah.
And Ryder was like, oh, ... Like we're saying, actually, screw you, fuck you, Zack Ryder. But we weren't meeting at Zack.
No. We all like Zack.
Yeah, we all like it.
So, woo.
Yeah, thanks to Brian Myers for coming on the show. Chris Sabin next week. And then we're going to be hopefully having Ken Anderson. You know him as Mr. Kennedy in WWE.
Mr.
Does he do that anymore?
I don't know. He did when he first went to TNA.
Yeah.
He was still doing Mr. Anderson.
I don't think
with
he's
Mike.
doing...
Not anymore. I don't think so,
that.
yeah.
But look for him in the coming weeks here on the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show. And then we're covering AIW, and Samoa Joe will be in town this month.
Oh, yeah.
Go to AIWrestling.com. Tickets going fast to see Samoa Joe, one of his last few indie promotion events, appearances, before he makes the jump to WWE, who should be going there in June. So a lot of great matches at AIW coming up. They have the JT Lightning Memorial Tournament. It's going to be in a few weeks, so look for that. AIWrestling.com. Samoa Joe in town here in Cleveland. And next month, NXT is going to be in town here in Cleveland. Raw is going to be in Cleveland. Money in the Bank will be in Columbus. NXT will be in Columbus. It's a full weekend.
No, Raw's here after Money in the Bank, right? Yeah.
So it's be
big weekend.
Huge weekend. And we may have something for you, considering that all that big events coming on in the Ohio area. So stay tuned for that. Follow me on Twitter at GlenmoreCLE.
Follow me on Twitter at TheSteveGuy.
And we will talk to you guys next week right here on the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show.
What do you want me to say?